And now we will pivot from talking about the health aspect of COVID-19 to small businesses, which have been hit particularly hard by the coronavirus as they struggle to figure out how they can move forward. So joining me is Steve Stumbris, the director of the Bucknell Small Business Development Center, and Dennis Hummer, who is a consultant for the center and also manages its incubator on Market Street in downtown Lewisburg. Good morning, Steve, first off.
Morning, Chris.
And good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Chris.
Once again, we are very deliberate in how we're speaking because Zoom focuses on the person who is talking. So first off, I can't think of any event quite like this. Maybe the Great Depression, unfortunately, we're not using that D word right now, that has dealt such a blow to small businesses like this, has it?
We have not. One of the things that we look to in how small businesses are being impacted right now are previous natural disasters or events such as Superstorm Sandy, floods, hurricanes and such in Pennsylvania and in other regions. And how groups like the Small Business Development Center and also the United States Small Business Administration have come in as resource providers, and in the case of the SBA, sources of financing for small business. But what's happening now is not, of course, confined to one particular geographic location. This is an impact at a scope that none of us have ever seen before.
So what are some of the issues that small businesses are facing right now?
They are feeling the impact of disconnect from their customers, as now throughout the state of Pennsylvania, we are all under a stay-at-home order, save for life-sustaining essential businesses. So the vast majority of the small businesses that the SBDC serves are required to close their doors. And the layoffs, the cessation of operations is a tremendously negative impact on these business owners and their connections with their markets.
Yeah, the interesting concept I've heard of, and you mentioned about layoffs and employees, is the concept of the stranded employee, which is something that small businesses, even business in general, have never had to deal with before.
Sure. Denny, share a little bit about some of the direct interaction with clients that we've been having. It has been an intense last couple of weeks. We are hearing from a lot of business owners and their staff about the challenges they're facing.
Yeah, the biggest issues that we're seeing right now are just in what to do. There is this great unknown, like you mentioned. We're really in uncharted territory, and business owners are genetically wired to make quick decisions and pivot as necessary. And entrepreneurs don't really know how to handle this right now because this pandemic is like a slow moving train wreck. It actually isn't over yet. And so an entrepreneur, like I said, is wired to make a decision, make a change quickly in running their business. And unfortunately that model doesn't work today. And so we're seeing a number of frustrations, and then beyond that, just navigating some of the paperwork that's associated with some of the programs that are available today to help overcome some of the challenges.
So what are some of the things that small business owners, what are some of the suggestions you're making to them to help them get through this tough time?
Well, contacting us at the Small Business Development Center today is exceptionally timely. Because one new resource that becomes available for businesses is the National Paycheck Protection Program, brand new, launched by the U.S. Small Business Administration. It's part of the Federal CARES Act, and as a new financing program run through the SBA, it provides loans to businesses to provide them an incentive to keep employees on payroll. Again, today, Friday, April 3rd, that opens with lenders throughout the country who are SBA approved lending institutions able to help small business owners apply to this program.
And beyond that, Chris, there's also what's known as the economic injury disaster loan that's been out now almost 2 weeks. That was brought about, it's being managed by the SBA themselves through the federal government, and it's an opportunity for businesses to go after economic injury from this in the form of a loan. For our entrepreneurs, it's a loan that could actually span for a 30-year term at 3.75% interest. There is a very intuitive, much better application process today than there was 2 weeks ago. So for any of the business owners that are entrepreneurs that might be listening, know that you can jump back on and fill this out much easier today than it was even just a week ago.
Okay, and there is a FAQ, from what I understand, FAQ, that can help small business owners. Am I correct?
Absolutely. So Denny and myself and the entire team at the SBDC and colleagues of ours throughout this Pennsylvania Small Business Development Center network have been amassing the questions we've been hearing from business owners and putting those together additionally with resource links. And this business guide for businesses that are negatively impacted by COVID-19 is available at our website, bucknell.edu/SBDC. Scrolling down just a moment, you'll find a bright orange banner that identifies this frequently asked questions list. This is something that we're keeping up to date on a daily, sometimes hourly basis. Just this morning, I was on it as we heard from SBA last night about final updates to this Paycheck Protection Program. Terms and conditions for that are being released, actually released last evening to banks throughout the region. And the interest rates, very low. So 1% interest rate as a final update to that program, 2-year term for this program, and exactly how to apply. All of those details are described in this FAQ that's available at the SBDC website.
So going forward, small businesses, is it much tougher at this point for a startup as opposed to an established business?
Absolutely. I think navigating those waters today are definitely going to be a challenge because of resources that are being committed right now to dealing with the COVID-19 situation. Not unsurmountable, definitely possible. As Steve mentioned, our offices are open. We're working from home, but we are open for business, and we definitely are not turning our backs on startups. We will definitely review business plans and work on financial projections. And I'm just concerned that some of the traditional methods of financing right now through either whether it be a lender or investors, just getting access to capital today might be more of a challenge navigating that water.
I agree that access to capital right now, the financing programs are full steam ahead for businesses that are in this mode of sustaining, withstanding this negative impact, struggling to keep employees employed, and on the other side of this, recover. One thing that a startup will encounter right now, and actually any startup, anyone who's endeavoring to start a new company, is going to have a plan, and there are going to be assumptions built into that plan based on their best knowledge and their best estimation of what they may encounter. Right now, of course, the situation that we're all facing has things that are truly unknown and unknowable for the next few weeks, month, and that will definitely be a greater hurdle for a startup to overcome at this time.
And from what I understand, there really isn't an insurance backup for these businesses right now, unless they took out something I read about today for the first time, business interruption insurance. Insurance can't really help. A basic insurance policy really can't help them through this, can it?
Probably not, Chris. In fact, one of the issues that we've even uncovered with that business disruption insurance is many of the policies didn't actually cover a pandemic. So an economic injury created by a pandemic, I've heard from many of our business owners, is not included in that. So sadly, had it been a natural disaster in the form of a storm, yes. But unfortunately, I'm hearing a lot that they're not covered. So that's unfortunate.
I've seen that from some event organizers who have had to cancel their events. And I was down into the weeds of one of their policies, where there was a clause that did not cover outbreaks, epidemics, quarantine type cases for mass populace. And it's one of those things that we don't normally read through on a daily basis, the clauses in these policies. But yes, it was there. And this exceptional situation that we're experiencing was actually written into their insurance policy. And they did not have coverage in this case.
And why would you ever think that would be an issue for you as a business going forward? I mean, a lot of these startups that maybe started a plan a year ago to get going. I think of a restaurant here in downtown Danville that just started opening, or the brew pub over in Lewisburg. They probably started planning for their opening a year or two ago. And this was obviously never even a factor at that time. Suddenly, this is a tremendous issue for them.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of restaurant owners, they do have some recourse as life-sustaining businesses. So we have seen very creative entrepreneurial pivots by these restaurant owners to offer expansions to their takeout menus, to expand their range of delivery, to, in some cases, scale back their menus to items that do work well for takeout and delivery. But still, it is a serious impact to them. We do see some as entrepreneurs are by nature creative, inventive people. They are adapting as best they can right now.
Yeah, it seems like for those the non-life sustainings, online seems to be the way to go for them right now for their product.
That's definitely an opportunity, but even some of the challenges today, some of the businesses we're facing, are facing getting established. You know, if they haven't already been established as an online business, getting up and running and navigating that can be a little cumbersome. So it's hard. And when you see some businesses that are allowed to remain open, I've got other clients that are forced to shut down, but yet the same products are being sold in the big box stores. And I've been hearing a lot of frustration that how do we even compete? I don't want to miss a chance to say about one other program that's going to be available to entrepreneurs. It's going to hit here a little bit later. I think April 13th is when unemployment compensation, for the first time that I've ever seen, will be available to sole proprietors and independent contractors. And right now, the Department of Labor and Industry of Pennsylvania is actually navigating the ability to process such claims. So I'm asking that any of them not go out and try to fill in the paperwork today for the traditional system, but there is a program coming today that's going to help in that. And I don't mean today, I mean in a couple of weeks. So keep your eyes open for that to happen. That FAQ page that you mentioned earlier, Chris, is going to be a great way for us to purvey that information out to entrepreneurs.
By the way, I've been neglectful to this point in mentioning the fact that Denny is joining us from a rural area, so his bandwidth has had some issues throughout this. So that would account for the kind of catchy nature of his video. His audio has been fine up to this point. So we did talk about restaurants that have been able to adapt well. Have there been any other clever cases of businesses you've heard of in dealing with this crisis?
I can share. I have a client right now who's a home builder that obviously are shut down. They have actually pivoted their model to provide free delivery service to people in need, and so they're using it more as a marketing tool to say, "Hey, we're not open, but we still have trucks and we can still do things to help people out. So I know that's one example where even though they're not generating an income, they are looking for ways to help fellow man.
And I've heard from one local manufacturer that we've worked with. Actually, there are some manufacturers that are categorized as life-sustaining businesses. So we know not far from us in Lewisburg, companies like Custom Container Solutions are still in operation. They still have welders, fabricators in their shop, and are producing their product. Over on the other side, on the smaller end of manufacturers, companies like Gilson Snow are shut down right now. And I've seen an impassioned plea from Nick Gilson out to their customers, first thanking them for their support in this tough time, and then looking ahead to the future when they will be back up and running. They are doing creative things like offering gift certificates and pledges. One really creative offering that Nick shared out with customers and future customers for their skis and snowboards is an experience of book your time to come visit their shop in the future and work side by side with them building your own snowboard and skis. And you can put a down payment on that right now to help them in sustaining their business. But in the future, what an amazing experience that will be for their customers.
Yeah, an amazing way to build future clientele if they weren't a client of Gilson Snowboards already. Another interesting one I saw online today is crowdsourcing or crowdfunding as a way of maybe pulling in some future investments for a small business.
We have heard from colleagues of ours throughout the SBDC program nationwide of companies, especially creative types. So art, design, music, arts-based entrepreneurs reaching their fans and customers through online platforms, and indeed using crowdfunding platforms like GoFundMe, or especially for the artist community, Patreon, to solicit donations, support pledges for ongoing and future creative works that they're producing.
So you guys are working from home. What does that mean for the Incubator Center on Market Street in Lewisburg? I know Denny kind of alluded to it earlier in the interview.
Well, it's meaning that for the most part, it's very quiet there. I've got a couple of entrepreneurs that are still showing up to work privately on their projects. But for the most part, it's going to be very quiet until we get on the other side of this event. And but that doesn't mean entrepreneurship stops. It just means that they're working in different spaces. And the nice thing is we'll be there when we get on the other side of this and can get back physically together to share resources and network. And it's a pause. It's not a stop.
And we've seen connections between our clients, these entrepreneurs that we serve every day. They have been reaching out to Denny, to me, to Maureen, to other members of the SBDC team on a nonstop basis. The past 2 weeks have been an overwhelming wave of outreach as business owners are navigating a very difficult time, a lot of uncertainty. There are a lot of calls for assistance. We have the information for them. We do continue to be available. So while people are not able to walk into our office in downtown Lewisburg or stumble across us on Bucknell's campus, they can reach us. Contact information, of course, is at bucknell.edu/SBDC. We do have a steady stream of new clients coming our way, even at this time, seeking assistance. And we still are here to help. Me here in Lewisburg, Denny, Maureen, Shelley, throughout the rest of central Pennsylvania, still working to serve small businesses.
Yeah, I have to say, Denny has a pretty nice home office from what I'm looking at behind him. Maybe the best backdrop I've seen so far.
This is all smoke and mirrors, Chris. I had a Hollywood crew come in quick and set this up just for our conversation today.
You
Well, they
should
did
see you should see his green screen.
They did a fantastic job. So I want to end, if at all possible, as I did yesterday with Geisinger Dr. Stanley Martin. How are you handling this personally? I know from my end, I was initially quite bewildered by the whole situation, and now there's a fair amount of anxiety about how things are going to move on from here.
Sure, there still is anxiety, but the best way that I've found to overcome that is to stay connected to the people that you would normally see every day. So on a pretty regular basis, Danny and me and the rest of the SBDC team, we are meeting in this exact same fashion. And we're fielding the questions, and we're sharing the questions and concerns that we're hearing from business owners, but it also is just a chance to catch up and see each other face to face. So I encourage others who have access to technology like this, video conferencing, Zoom, Skype, and Google Hangouts are all great tools. Stay connected to the people that you're close with, and share your experience with them. Ask them how they're doing.
Chris, I know that I spent about a week going through probably similar to the stages of death, and just being being in shock and moving through all of the different emotions. And I don't know, it kind of hit here recently that it's just like, you know what, we're in it. We're going to have to accept it. And I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, but I know we've got some amazing resources and some incredible friends that, like Steve said, don't miss an opportunity to stay in touch with someone, and don't miss an opportunity to tell somebody you care about them. And we're going to get through this together.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen Stumbris from the Bucknell Small Business Development Center, and Dennis Hummer as well from a consultant for the center and manages their incubator center on Market Street. Thank you very much, both gentlemen, for your time. And I would just go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the opportunity to share how the SBDC continues to be a resource for business owners. We know that it's a tough time for them, but we're here to work with them and see them through to recovery.